Welcome everyone back to the Franchise Growth Show, the show where we talk with franchise brands that are not just scaling, they are flipping industry trends on their head. Because the truth is, too many founders wait for perfect conditions before they scale. Shaun didn't. He turned a single van and a hardwood sander into Floor Crafters, a flooring brand that's now breaking $2 million in AUV. Most service companies stay small because the owner never replaces themselves. But Shaun built a mobile first model that removes the biggest bottlenecks, showrooms, heavy payroll, and bloated overhead. And the result is a franchise system with strong AUV and a sales process that closes nearly 4 to 1. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on just how he did it and what investors and founders can learn about scaling a trades business the smart way. So first and foremost, Shaun, thank you for being on. We appreciate you being here, sir.
Morning, Joe. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So a flooring franchise that can start for as little as 154K and recoup in under a year with no showroom. Help us understand that. What makes this model work so well?
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head there in the introduction, really. And basically, it's we moved away from that brick and mortar high overhead cost with all these W-2 employees. When I bought it, we had all of that. We had all of that in, and it just looked so bulky and it was so slow. Cash flow wasn't guaranteed. So we changed the model up a hell of a lot. What we ended up doing was exactly like you said. We shut down the showroom. We turned it into a mobile showroom. What I was looking at is that it would take like 3 to 4 weeks to get our clients from estimate into the showroom, get them some samples, then get the samples back out to their home. Hubby and wife disagree. Wife didn't pick up the right colors. Now they both got to come back to the showroom, right? We're looking at a 2, 3, 4 week process here. So we say, listen, how do we get this into a space where we can actually minimize that time frame and get more money in the door faster while bringing those expenses down and those fixed expenses, right? So we turned it into a mobile showroom model, which worked incredibly well because now we set the estimate. Before we even set the estimate, we call this the shop at home model, right? So what we want you to do is we want to drive you to our website, however that may be, whichever digital channel. Get on the website, run through our entire catalog of flooring, right? And while you're checking out different types of laminates. We're looking at LVPs, we're looking at tile, we're looking at hardwoods, we're looking at all these things, right? You can actually get a very good idea of what that floor is going to look like in your home, right? You can upload a photograph into the visualizer and you can pick your flooring. We'll bring those floors out to you in the showroom, right? So when we come out for the estimate, you've already got a great idea of what you're going to need. We bring those out, we show them to you in your space, in your home, in your light and everything else. Our idea is really to get you to choose one single floor while we're there. If you choose 3 or 4, that's fine. We'll put together multiple estimates for you. But once we leave, we've got a good idea. We can put the estimate together. No running around from store to store trying to find the right product. So we then get the estimate out within 72 hours. Client can make a decision on the 3rd or 4th day. We're ready to go. We're not waiting 2 or 3, 4 weeks to turn these clients around, right? So what it did was it drove our sales up every single month. Instead of looking out and saying, okay, we've got this potential funnel with this potential amount of people, and our estimator can only see so many during a day, we ended up driving the sales up on a per monthly basis like you cannot believe. That's the one thing we did. The second thing we did was we went away from the W-2 model and we went to a subcontractor model. So what that ended up doing was we controlled the expenses and the cost of sales, right? Because what happened before with the W-2, they used to draw out their time. And just to cut a long story short, we actually tripled our production rate. So while we look at our production book and we go, okay, hey, oh, cool, business is strong. We've got 3, 4 months booked out. That's no good to me if the money's sitting there. So that means at that point, I've got a low sales number, monthly sales number, and then the sales is out 3 months. I'm like, no ways. I want to get that sales number up in the month and I want to get that cash in. So we tripled our production rate by going to 1099. A lot of our guys that work for us were quite happy to do that because they can make a lot more money and they have a lot more freedom. The third thing we did, which was quite phenomenal, is that we actually, instead of just being a hardwood flooring company, we became multifaceted. So a specialist flooring company. So it doesn't matter whether you want carpet or tile or laminates, we did it all. We'll do rubber, we'll do caulk, do turf that you see in the gyms. We'll do it all as long as we can find a subcontractor that has a good enough skill set and can meet our quality standards. We'll put it in for you. So now let's take the current clients that we've got. All right, we're going into Joey Bag of Donuts. Joey wants to do his hardwood again. Estimator comes across, talks about tile, talks about carpet. Oh, you know what? I need new carpet down in my basement. Let's head down there. Guy does a measurement, speaks about tile. You know what? My wife wants I don't know if we're going to do this now, but why don't you give me a quote to redo the master bathroom, right? Cool. Now, when we close the bill, it goes from $3,500 average, which is what we were doing in the first few years, to a $15,000 average because we've hit it so hard because we're selling multiple products to the exact same clients. So we saw that success, start about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was something that I thought to myself, and I said, okay, cool. Now, do I expand by putting more vans on the road, going into Colorado a lot more, maybe, opening branches in Texas, Denver, Fort Worth? I thought, no, let's rather look at the franchise model and see what's out there and see what type of competition it is like. America's very big on franchising. So, got educated about it, did a year-long course on how to be the right franchisor or CEO, built the brand out from start to finish. And at the time, COVID actually came down and obviously stopped the world completely. So I kind of put it on the back burner. And at that point, residential died completely because no one was allowed to talk to each other. You weren't allowed in anyone's home, blah, blah, blah. So we tackled the commercial market at that point, keep the business going and see what happened. This is the fourth thing that we did. So we ended up not only doing residential, we ended up dabbling in the commercial. Since then, obviously, we've perfected the commercial model and how to get those jobs and how to locate them and how to price them and everything else. And that drove our business, north of $3 million. When I bought it, we were doing, 1.2, 1.25. So, almost doubled that revenue, in spaces between COVID and everything else. So, just doing those four things, the commercial is great because, you make your money, make really good margins on your residential. All right. It's your foundation. It's your bread and butter. It's your, Mrs. Homeowner. We drive a lot of those leads for the clients for the residential. But the next thing is that, okay, let's hit the commercial. Let's see if we can secure some of these and add that margin on top of everything that we're doing already. And that just drives the sales through the roof. It adds the money, it adds the pennies on top of each other. And what's really nice about them is that we're doing jobs, north of 150 grand. The one that we did last year, $750,000, redoing a senior center. So the options are really endless when you look at the commercial side if you've got that built-in foundation.
I love that. And there's so many correlations to what you just described in my past background in landscaping. There's a lot of similarities there. Residential is your bread and butter, but they're obviously much lower ticket and much higher churn as a result. You get a commercial client, you might have 10 to 100 times the value, and it's substantially more recurring. So it's a model that I say kudos to you for recognizing, especially during the COVID time period, being able to make that pivot as the world was going through all of that, yeah. Right? And being able to not only get through it, but thrive through it. That's amazing. You mentioned the mobile design showroom. That is really one of the core concepts, in my opinion, of your brand. Yeah. So I would love if you could give more color to that. Like, why did you decide for it? You mentioned that a little bit already, but go further if you don't mind on what it is, what it looks like, and kind of what a day in the life inside of a mobile design showroom would look like.
Yeah, 100%. So, during the COVID times, my landlord came to me and said, hey, I'm going to double your rent because I want to sell the building, smash the cap rate up and get in. And I'm like, you know what? I was planning to do this franchise thing before COVID hit. You've just pushed my hand across the table and said, let's go. So I said to him, not signing the new lease. I went out and I bought a Sprinter van. They were at a great price at that point because COVID had everything down. Bought a Sprinter van and we built a version 1. We're now on version 3 of the van. We no longer buy the Mercedes Sprinter. We do it in a Ram 1500. So we buy American. We got a dealership in Wyoming that we deal through, and they give us a great price, and our franchisees a great price. Our factory in Wyoming then picks it up, and then take it to the factory, and we build out this entire inside of this this mobile showroom. Now, there are other mobile flooring showrooms out there. One of them is very, very successful. They've been around for north of 20 years. What I decided to do is, because it's the pinnacle of my brand, the talisman, it's what the whole brand is actually built around. We went a little bit further, and we designed this thing like a gorgeous kitchen, right? It has high-end cabinetry inside. It's all knock-proof. It's going to last longer than 10 years. It's just come out, when you can actually take the client into the van if you wanted to. We don't do that a lot, but it's so sexy that you can take pictures, you can take clients in there, you can find everything you need, and it really makes the brand more attractive, because it's not just this van where stuff is just thrown into in a metal rack and you're trying to find stuff and all the rest. All our sample boards are custom made, floor crafters sample boards, so they have, we don't bring in any of our own product, but we do tie in with all the major brands, and they support us remarkably, and we build out all our own sample boards to put in the van. Again, north of 300 colors in carpets, laminates, luxury vinyl, and of course hardwood, which is what the most of the country is after. So very customized, very sexy, very efficient as well. It works really, really well. It's got lighting, it's got flooring on the floor, so it really looks good, and it plays the part of the brand where we're a middle of the road brand, and all our pricing will be very market related. But when we arrive, you're impressed, right? You're impressed from the van. You're impressed that everybody is in their apparel. They look good. They're presentable. And then you've got this mobile showroom where, we've got all the colors and all the options and all the flooring that you need. And, if you can't find an option in there, we can definitely find it somewhere else. But, if we can't find it in the van, we sometimes can't help you. Because of the amount of options that are really in there. So yes, it's changed the whole game for us, to be really honest. No need for a mobile a brick and mortar showroom. It's just become irrelevant at that point. And also, what the thing is that these clients are like, okay, cool, I have to go to this showroom and then that showroom and then that showroom and find tile here and find carpet there and all the rest of it. We just bring it all to you. We can find a solution across the board, good, better, best strategy. So we've got the the entry level pricing for like house flippers and house renters, and investment properties, and then we've got stuff in the middle that is middle of the range, good pricing, and then you've got forever home stuff where we've got hardwood at $15 a square foot. So we've got everything in the van that can satisfy our customers across the country, and it doesn't matter what market you're in.
I love that, and when you explain that, it's no shock at all that your average job is well north of 10,000 and you're closing at a 4-to-1 ratio, because you're providing such a level of convenience and quality directly to the consumer or customer versus them having to come to you and hoping that they show up to the appointment that has been scheduled, if not have to reschedule it numerous times over. I know in the U.S., every state's slightly different in terms of what we can and cannot say through the FDD without having an NDA in place, and not every person listening right now has done that just yet. So without infringing upon any of that, what are the startup cost ranges if someone was interested in buying into your brand, and what does that ramp up to ROI typically look like?
Yeah, I mean, it ranges anywhere between $150,000 to $205,000, right? And that just depends on variables that gets added in or taken out or whatever the case is. I've got a guy in Texas, Fort Worth actually. He couldn't get credit because he actually got an EB-5 visa from Ecuador. They own banana farms out there, 400 acres of it, moving his whole family here because of the safety concern. He had to then go and buy everything cash because he didn't have the credit to get it, right? So his bill obviously runs up. His bill also runs up because now we look at it and go, okay, he's going to bring on a project manager to do the estimating as well, right? That's just the way you design it. Well, that means your ROI is going to take a little bit longer to get back to you, right? Because you've got these extra expenses. My guy in South Carolina, very different. He's doing everything himself, right? He's doing answering the phone, he's doing the admin, he's doing the estimating, and he's doing the project managing. Sure, he's really busy, but he's got a firm grip on those expenses, right? Which his ROI will be a lot better. So there are different scenarios for different people. We do see it that guys are coming in and they'll be semi or passive ownership, or you can be 100% active, or you can bring in an employee that is from the trade. So there are multiple ways to run the business. But yeah, our unit size, when looking at home services, they normally give about 100,000 housing units per territory. Ours is north of that. Every single one of them is north of 110,000. So there's the benefit of coming in early on to an emerging brand. Not only are our territories bigger, that means the success rate is going to be higher because you have 10,000 more homes to go and hit. That means the options of the market pie in your area is going to be bigger. I want my guys to succeed. Like, I don't care about much. The only thing that I'm focused on here at Floorcrafters is making sure that my franchisees make money. They make money, I get to sleep well at night, I make money. It's as simple as that. So 110,000 and above. And of course, as an emerging franchisor, there's lots of open space in the major cities that is still available. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely did. Thank you for providing that color and that context to the investors that I know are listening in right now, because I've had several that have already pinged me about your particular brand. So that's giving them some context that's substantial. Yeah. Now, post investment, walk us through what like the typical day looks like for a franchisee in your system.
Yeah, let's talk about someone like David who's running and doing everything himself. We have and I'll just move off a little bit to bring it back to that answer. We have a digital marketing program here at Floorcrafters Franchise that we run that for the franchisee. So we take it off your plate. So that allows David not to worry about what's happening on Google, what's happening on Facebook, Angie, or whatever the rest is, right? We handle all of that for them, and we build the ads, we build the content. Just got another set of ads here from our video company today that we've pushed through to our agency. We control all of that. We drive those leads, those residential Mrs. Homeowner leads directly to our call center, right? So also takes that off your plate. Call center opens, say, hi, this is Floorcrafters South Charlotte. How are you doing? And how can we help you? I'm doing fine, thank you. My name is Joey Bag of Donuts. I'm looking to rip up all my carpet and replace this with laminate. All right, Joey. Well, where are you? Oh, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's perfect. We've got a franchisee out there. How about I've got estimates, available, 10, 12, and 2 o'clock tomorrow. Same on Thursday. Does that work for you? Yeah, I'll take 2 o'clock on Thursday, please. Not a problem. And we actually book those leads into the estimator franchisee's calendar so that they can then, okay, cool, my calendar is actually building up. Because what actually happens in a flooring business and a lot of service business as well, and a lot of them are designed differently and you like it different ways, but 80% of our revenue, 70 to 80% of our revenue is coming from these homeowners, right? So we drive that business, drive those leads to the business. We schedule those calls, schedule those estimates, and we get the mobile showroom out there, right? So once that happens, all right, it allows my estimator, my franchisee, or whatever the case is, allows them to focus on production, getting out there, impressing the potential clients, delivering the service that is designed around Floorcrafters, the design service with the flooring showroom, and then getting a floor chosen, getting the estimate to the clients, and then watching production at the same time if you've got jobs on that. So we've taken that off the plate, and we're actually a team and we're working forward towards that. So they'll go out, they'll look at their calendar. 24 hours before that, we like them to phone these potential estimates and say, hey, Joey, this is Shaun from Floorcrafters Boulder. I've got an estimate for you at 10 o'clock the next morning. Are we still on for that? If not, we leave a voice message, send an email, right? Check those in. Next morning, we go out and actually go and see these clients personally. We do take them through the design aspect of the showroom and show them potential flaws that they're looking for, and we solve that issue that they're looking for a solution for, right? And then once we get that, we then type up estimates, or we head off to the next estimate, right? That's one thing. The other thing that happens during the day, and obviously as production grows, you're at sites, you're dealing with clients, you're showing them that you're there, you're project managing, you're making sure that the quality's there, making sure your guys are dressed properly, there's no loud music, there's no they're just presented in a floor crafters way, and we like to say the world-class way that floor crafters presents itself, both in person and in the quality of the product, right? So you're managing products during the day as well. Now David's doing that full time. Dennis is not. He's running the business, answering the phone, dealing with the clients, maybe typing up estimates or whatever the case is, doing some on the commercial side. But his estimator is the one who's actually going out and actually going to see these clients and doing that in the day of a floor crafters owner. So that's the way that those two scenarios work for us. We do have Floor Crafters is all about making sure our franchisees succeed. So we have a full coaching and coaching business as well, where we coach our franchisees, whether it be mentally, whether it be physically, it doesn't matter. I'm here to get you to the goal, which is making money in your franchisee. We're here to make you money while you own it, so you can sell it on the back end. That's the whole point of buying an asset from us. So we'll work with you nonstop right now because we're around 10 units. We don't have excess coaches. They get me. Okay, they get the guy who built this. I'm their coach. So at least the first 20 franchisees, first 20 units are definitely going to get the gold standard from us. It's critical to make sure that we succeed in the long term.
I love that. So you're at 10, up to 20 can have you as their personal coach. Oh, yeah. That sounds like a clock to me. Next 10 people get in. Let's go. You get Shaun. You get the guy that created this to help you create your legacy. I love that. Love that. Your marketing package, you described it already. It's pretty much done for you for the most part, right?
That's it. Done for you, digital marketing.
Love that. Is there a piece of that pie that you see working exceptionally well, so either A, take it off of the franchisee space, or be able for you to showcase consistency and who they talk to, how they talk to, scripting, whatever it may be? Is there a piece of it that works, in your opinion, at the highest level currently?
Yeah, I mean, to try and answer that question, if I understand it correctly, is there a piece of the digital marketing done for you package that works really, really well? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, Google is our, as much as we hate the size and volume and cost that they really are the geniuses, and they really work incredibly well. So we work tightly as our primary source of leads when it comes to done for you digital marketing, but we hit Facebook, we hit Instagram, and we do Angie's as well. So we've got 3 different quality leads. Google is a slow machine. All right. Facebook, medium speed. Angie, super speed. Now what that means is when you got super speed, you have low quality leads, right? So we work ourselves up in building the business through Angie and Facebook, and making sure that we can run these estimates and understand how the estimate is supposed to be run and get that quality and practice up. By the time we start to hit the Google side of things, where we get really high quality leads and bigger projects, because the people on Google are actually looking for someone to solve a problem, right? We are then competent enough to be able to go in there and show them what needs to be done, right? With that, we have a full digital operations manual, right? So obviously you come out here and you get trained, but we also have a digital operations manual that these guys can then go onto and actually have a look at and learn consistently and in depth, depending on how much effort it is. Now, we know the joke. Franchisees never look at their operations manual. We've made it super easy with a digital version, which allows them to, I get to share new documents that we get, and we've got a full, it's over 400 pages of stuff, which, honestly is very bulky. But you can just type in the search bar, whether it be the AI search bar, the normal search bar, you can type in whatever you want, estimation script, right? And the estimation script will come up, and you can teach yourself how to run an estimation script onto the telephone scripts, sales scripts, sales philosophy, all of these wonderful things. Now, on that system, we also have something called the fast track program, right? Which means when I sign you up as a franchisee, we open you up, we send you into Delight Tree, and we run through probably a 40-point process between the franchisee and ourselves in order to be able to open within 12 to 16 weeks, right? So everything gets checked off. Open a bank account, get an EIN, find an accountant, open up an LLC, and we go through each individual of these points: telephone numbers, computers, vans, all these things. And we go through these and we check and we make sure that everybody's following this process to make sure that we can open up on time and when we need to.
Love that. So you're leveraging the kind of good, better, best model, really, when it comes to marketing and all those different platforms, but you're doing it in a scaling effect to create the opportunity for a new franchisee to scale up to be able to handle those high dollar amount commercial level sales. I love that. I love that.
The scaling is very important because, and just to jump into that word that you pulled there, and you might be asking this question next, but we scale from the first year. It's all Mrs. Homeowner, right? Digital leads. And at the same time, while you have space in your schedule, we hit the second bucket, which is B2B, right? Which we're talking about general contractors, home renovators, restoration companies, real estate agents, and interior designers, right? That means this is the feet on the ground marketing program, which we cannot help you with. We can teach you how to do it, but you got to get out there and actually put the effort in, pick up the phone, talk, go and see these folks and build these relationships, right? It's a very big part of the business, that middle part, because there's once you have impressed a general contractor, you literally not competing against anyone else. All they want to do is, hey, let's get those plans over to Shaun and his guys. Let's get them to bid it, and let's get a price back, and we'll move forward at that point, right? So a very big part of the business that needs to be done by the franchisee on the ground there, and that's first bucket, Mrs. Homeowner, second bucket, B2B, and we talk about scaling, right? And then we've got the commercial side, which is the third bucket, right? Which we only like to see, depending on cash flow, we like to see to be done in the third year. Why is that? Because we're funding the commercial project. Where with Mrs. Homeowner and B2B, they're all paying a 50% deposit, easing our cash flow, right? With the commercial, you have to actually fund that project until the first draw, which can be 60 days down the line.
Yep. Been there, done that, know all about it, but I love the kind of methodology that you're applying. There's a method to execution and a method to get there, and you've obviously replicated that multiple times over, so you have a proof of concept as well. That's amazing. Obviously, today's day and age, tech is a big thing. So let me rephrase this. How does the virtual showroom or AR floor visualizer play into the sales process when the franchisee gets that lead and goes to that first appointment?
Yeah, it shortens that. A lot of the times, will walk into the showroom, the brick and mortar, and they have no idea what they're looking for. Right, so it really shortens down that time frame of, hey, what type of floor am I actually looking for? Do I want something furry? Do I want something hard? What is it that I need, and what does I want? So we try and get that out there. And as I say, shop at home model is the way that we really break it down, and we try and get them onto our website, get them onto our catalog, get them into the flooring visualizer, and actually get them to see that product in their home space before we even get out there, so that they have some sort of, do I want wood? Do I want laminate? Do I want LVP? Do I want carpet? And what color ranges am I in? In the flooring business, it's funny. People don't buy, BMWs and Toyotas and Hondas, right? They buy color. All right, and they buy price. They don't buy, oh, you know what? Anderson Tuftex is a top-end brand. I really want to have them in my house, or Hallmark, or whatever it is, right? They don't care about that. They care about price, and they care about quality, and then they care about, obviously, color. That's what they really go for. I want this look. Give me this look. What have you got? So often we're matching. Here's a picture on Pinterest. Do you have something that looks like that? Of course we do. We always do. And if I don't know where it is, I'll find it. So, it's the flooring visualizer works incredibly well. The website catalog works incredibly well, which is why we always drive people to there. And again, it just shortens that process. It gets them what we're actually doing is building trust the entire time, right? From when they get driven there by some type of channel, Then they're on the website. They're impressed completely about what's going on about there. We compete a lot against, what we call, from where where we're from, it's called Bucky and Ladder Brigade, right? So the guys who have a truck, chuck in a truck is what we call it out here in Colorado. But we're competing against those guys as well. And we have to impress those clients. And while we might be slightly more expensive than the guys that have very little overhead, we want to make sure that they understand what they're getting when they pay that extra dollar a square foot or whatever the case is. So we're creating that trust and building that world-class impression from the website all the way through until we get there with the estimate, and obviously through production as well.
That's amazing. Leveraging tech, speeding up the sales process, putting some ownership to a degree on the client or the customer to help narrow in that, which speeds the speed to scale and speed to close. So that's just amazing that you've already kind of leveraged tech to be able to close that gap. Yeah. Obviously, you are creating a brand that is, in my personal opinion, on the verge of explosion. Flooring is a $70 billion industry or whatever. It's humongous, right? And you guys are, 10-ish franchisees currently with plans for a substantial amount of scale. What's the vision for the brand over, let's say, the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, 3 to 5 years, I'd like to be closer to, north of 50 units. And really, getting into most states, registered in all 50 states, and at least have one in every state, right? And making sure that, like I say, 3 to 5, there's no good for me selling 50 to 100 and they're not open. So we want to make sure that the experience for our franchisees is incredibly rewarding, right? We want to make sure that whatever we're selling, we're opening up in 4 months. That means we have to restrict that growth to make sure that the deliverance of what we promise to our franchisees is actually there, right? Making sure that we're actually meeting those promises and those deadlines. So yeah, we'll grow within ourselves. I don't care how long it takes. We want to make sure that our franchisees are successful. So yeah, north of 50 after 3 years, I'm quite happy with. And we'll drive it for the next 3 to 5. We'll drive it north of 100, of course.
I love that. Recapping some of the stuff, because I'm just a numbers guy. 209,000 or south is your investment level. You got the capability to get return on investment as quick as a couple of years. You have the ability to get open in 12 to 16 weeks. You got exceptionally high margins. You're obviously an emerging brand, so therefore there's plenty of territory availability, especially in major markets where this can be leveraged at a high level. You got a scaling impacting effect for marketing that allows them to learn on the go, going from residential to kind of that commercial B2B, to B2B, and then eventually to commercial, so they can scale up their average unit volume, their margins, and do so in a methodology that you already have a proof of concept. This has been fire in terms of explanation of your brand. Like, there's so many correlations to my past. I think we could talk forever on it. Yeah. If you don't mind, I'd love to pivot slightly and just ask you more of an open-ended question, because you created a franchise brand, and there is pieces of the audience that listens in that are interested in possibly doing that with their existing company. So if you don't mind sharing maybe a lesson that you learned during that process, of something maybe you had to learn the hard way, or something you wish you knew back then or what you know now that could help somebody who's potentially going to create a franchise brand and follow in your footsteps. What should they avoid?
Yeah, so I think we should. It takes a little bit of experience to find the things you need to avoid. In other words, you have to kick your toe a couple of times before you realize that the coffee table is actually there. And I think one of the things that we should worry about and be concerned about is folks out there that are looking to jump on the bandwagon, ride the coattails of your business, whether it be a single unit and you're looking to franchise, or you're an emerging brand that is currently franchising and are trying to get to that hockey stick stage. Just be concerned about those folks that are out there that want to ride those coattails. Read every line of every document that you want to sign. Be careful of those guys who want to say, hey, I'll be your consultant, but I want X amount of money from the equity, and then they don't do anything for your brand. Right? They just sit there and say, well, hey, you're not doing anything. Well, yeah, too bad. You signed the deal. Let's get on with it, right? So be very careful about those folks who pitch to you about, hey, we're an FSO, or we're going to help you with sales or development, and then get you to sign this deal, and you sign away equity. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, what are, what are these people actually doing? They're not doing a lot. So, very important to make sure that you're aware of, it's the same thing when we go down to Mexico, right? People told us when we go down there, don't make eye contact when you walk out the airport. They're going to try and sell you some type of timeshare. Don't go to the free 2-hour sitting because they're going to try and sell you something, right? And this is the exact same thing, right? Be very careful who you align yourself with, especially in deals that never go away. In other words, you can cancel them, but you still owe them stuff as you move forward. Be very careful with that. I've burnt my fingers a couple of times with that, and I'd love to have avoided that. So if I can pass that on to the new people that are looking to franchise, it's a great way to build your business. It's a lot better. It's not easy. It's all hard work, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day. So that's what we're looking to achieve on this side.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that with our audience, Shaun. If someone's interested in potentially investing in your brand, how should they get into contact with you and your team?
Yeah, I mean, we're on Facebook or on Instagram. We've got a website, floorcraftersfranchise.com. Yeah, you can find us there. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. Floorcrafters Franchise Headquarters is on LinkedIn too. So you can find me, Shaun Bezuidenhout, on LinkedIn, and you can send me a direct message. You can give us a call directly from the website. I pick up the phone. So we're all good to go. That's how they get hold of me.
Love that. I love it. And then we will make sure that all those different links are included. So scroll down. If you're watching this particular video, it'll have all the links to everything that he just referenced. So you can reach out to Shaun and his team. Feel free to DM me as well. I'll be happy to make an introduction and help you isolate this as the brand that is best for you and what you're looking to achieve within your lifestyle. Because here's the catch. Scaling a trades business isn't about adding more trucks necessarily. It's about installing a repeatable system that prints value with or without you in the room. And Shaun built that. Floor Crafters has turned craftsmanship into a scalable asset, and that's a real blueprint. So if you're ready to turn your revenue into transferable value, not just necessarily more work, this conversation is a great place to start. Shaun, thank you so much for being on, sharing your story and Floor Crafters with our audience. I sincerely appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you, everyone. Have a great and fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you on the next episode of the Franchise Growth Show. Thanks, everyone.